How are we doing today? I am so excited to talk about DC Fandome with you because it felt almost like the world was back to normal. It felt like the world was spinning for a day, and it was a glorious day. That was one of the most Comic-Con-like events we could have gotten. It felt like Hall H. It felt like we were all there. It was a fantastic event. So I'm going to be breaking that down with you guys here, as well as on CoyCast, which is my podcast that drops tomorrow. So I focused more on like running down the Suicide Squad characters and doing a bit of a breakdown of the whole event on my podcast. So if there's anything that feels light here, I may have broken it down at length over there, but I didn't break down the Batman trailer or like Wonder Woman and a few of those things, so I want to do that here on this podcast, which is video. So I wanted to try to mix it up, that way you guys don't have redundancies between the two. So if you want to check out my thoughts on Suicide Squad and the characters and like who those characters are, then check out my podcast, which is tomorrow, which drops at like dawn. In the meantime, today we're going to talk about the Batman at length. We're going to talk about the trailers, the footage themselves. We're going to talk about the video games. We're going to talk about the Kraven movie, which broke last week quietly because there was so much other stuff going on. There's a Kraven movie that got a director. We also found out last week, which I did cover, that Olivia Wilde is doing a Spider-centric Sony Marvel movie, so I'm going to tie that into the Kraven concepts. Also, they're doing a Powerpuff Girls movie. They're doing lots and lots of stuff, so we're going to break down a lot of the news that happened this week right here on CoyCubed. Hope you guys are doing very well. It is a big week for my Schmodown team, the Quirky Mercs. We got 4 out of the 6 matches this week. Today is Tim versus Tom. We also have Kalinowski versus Perri Nemiroff this week. Also, if you guys missed the pay-per-view last week, Shazam versus Who's the Boss. And then on Friday is Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho. That's right, Kevin Smith, my Quirky Merc, Mr. Kevin Smith of View Askew legend, versus the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Chris Jericho, is Friday. I'm very excited. It's completely free. It's on YouTube. It's at like 5 o'clock. I'm very excited from my boy Kevin. Yeah, I can't wait. So that's Friday. So it's a big week for Schmodown and for everything else. And then today, in honor of the Kevin Smith match on Friday, we're doing a watch-along, a live watch-along, thanks to Michael McCarcel of my favorite Kevin Smith film. So if you want, stick around after this 6 o'clock p.m. PST. We're doing Mallrats. That's right, my personal favorite Kevin Smith movie because it's accidentally my biopic. A man who loved the mall, loved comic books, worshipped Stan Lee as a god, played too much Sega Genesis, fell his way into being a talk show host. This guy. So yeah, Mallrats, 6 p.m. PST, thanks to the fantastic Michael McCarcel, who I see in the chat right there. It's scrolling by and it's a little small, but I think that's his name. So what up? Hopefully that's Michael. All right, let's get into the news. Enough vamping about not DC Fandome. It is a Fandome-centric show. I hope you guys were there. I hope you enjoyed it. It was insane. Just from a technical standpoint, they had a live stream going for 8 hours, then got repeated a number of times that went off without a hitch. I am so impressed with the technical prowess of what went into that. Having worked on digital cons recently, that was very impressive. Now, Hall H is one of the tried and true traditions of Comic-Con. It's the big spectacle. It's where you see the large trailer drops. It's where you have panels and conversations. It's a big deal. And as much as I've enjoyed these smaller cons, that is something I was missing. I needed that taste. I did a con 2 weeks ago called Mainframe Comic-Con, which definitely satiated my comic part of the Comic-Con. It satiated my WonderCon flavor. It satiated my creators in comics. That little morsel of Comic-Con. I got to talk to Tom King, I got to talk to Jock, got to talk to Tom Taylor, got to talk to Mark Waid. It was amazing. Got to talk to Chip Zdarsky. It was a hell of a con, but it was the 90s con, which I love, which I prefer, to be honest. So I was like, okay, cool. I got to experience that. Man, I miss Hall H. And then DC Fandome was like, hey, you wanted Hall H? Here's Hall H. I was so impressed. From the panels, seeing these actors interact, seeing the creators interact, seeing them discuss all of the things going into their movies. I love that they took their time. I really enjoyed the fact that everything felt like it was on the up and up. There wasn't like anyone trying to get sneaky information. They were able to kind of pre-vet the questions, so there wasn't those awkward moments of like, well, we can't talk about that. That all felt great. I love how worldwide it felt. It truly was the entire planet in a con. It was the entire planet all experiencing the glory of DC, and that shows the scope of these movies, man. Just the entire scope of the entire planet, all being fans of Wonder Woman and Batman and wanting to see more Henry Cavill as Superman, and I thought it was really cool. We got to see things that are coming out as soon as November and as far away as BlackAdam. We got to see a little bit of previs from the great Boss Logic and Jim Lee for a movie that hasn't even started filming yet. So I was really impressed. Just the scope and everything else. Let's get into the individual panels. Now, it kicked off bright and early, for me anyway, at 10 a.m. with Wonder Woman 1984. Now, Wonder Woman 1984 is up there with New Mutants as being pushed around release date a lot. I realize people talk about New Mutants as this running joke from 3 years ago, but Wonder Woman 84 is like a year and a half now. Like, it's been pushed a lot as well. It was supposed to come out in the summer, then it got moved to November, then it got moved to another year, and I have a feeling it might get moved again. Don't quote me on that, but there is a reason the marketing has the year and nothing else, and the new marketing just says in theaters. If you can get your hands on any like movie theater buckets or anything else, there's no date on it, which is very smart. They're hedging their bets. That way, whenever the movie comes out, their merch is still valuable. It's going to be really interesting going forward how release dates work. We're going to talk about Tenet later on in the show. We're going to talk about New Mutants later on in the show. But Wonder Woman 84 has got moved around a lot as well, and I've been really, really afraid of knowing too much, of a leak, of... I hadn't seen Cheetah until this footage. I was really afraid of some sort of previs footage getting leaked. This was spectacular. The panel itself was charming. I love the relationship between Patty Jenkins and her cast. I think she's genius. I could listen to her talk about directing for hours. I think Gal is Wonder Woman. I love the Chris Pine charm. Obviously, he's Chris Pine, and their relationship is spectacular. The addition of Pedro Pascal is incredible. I am a huge Kristen Wiig fan, so seeing her get to really embody Cheetah in this newest trailer, because there was her as the character, there was her fully cheetahized, and there was her being adorable in the panel itself. There was a lot more Kristen Wiig here, which I was very excited about. I thought the overall panel really, really showed what we're going to get out of this movie, and I think this is a good possibility to be the DC movie. In my opinion, my favorite DC film to date is probably that first Wonder Woman. Shazam's right there close, but that first Wonder Woman was an incredible 2 acts of the movie, and then the third act fell apart for me. It was an A+ until it wasn't. So it's really hard because it did balance a lot of really complicated things. It dealt with mythology and modern life well. It dealt with romance well. It dealt with the action incredibly. It had a lot of memorable moments. It dealt with a character that's really hard to translate, in my opinion. I really think that the thing that didn't work was the third act. To me, this looks like it's going to solve that problem with Cheetah. To me, this is the answer to Wonder Woman 1. Like, hey, we tripped, we didn't fall, we see our mistakes, look over here. And now we get something that is leaning into the nostalgia like Stranger Things does, that's leaning into the character moments that we liked, that can skip the origin stuff because we've met these characters now, so you can get right into it. And the third act, I don't think will have as messy a villain as Ares. I think Ares was the real problem in that first movie, and the rest really, really worked. So, with Kristen Wiig looking incredible, with that final fight scene from the looks of it looking great, with the escalation of the character swinging on the lightning in the trailer, with the comedy of Chris Pine being a fish out of water and us not knowing how that's going on, all of this is fantastic. I have a feeling Max Lord has something to do with Chris Pine being back. That's going to be heartbreaking. I have a feeling that Max Lord's going to steal the show a lot. Pedro Pascal in those power suits, which they talked about in the panel. Very excited about. I'm curious how much of an Elseworld it is. I don't think it's an Elseworld anymore, but what if this movie is a different pocket altogether and then Flashpoint brings it all together? I think it'd be really cool with Flashpoint starting the cinematic multiverse. What if this was a different edge of the multiverse than the last Wonder Woman? What if that was the 1917 Wonder Woman? This is the 1984 Wonder Woman. Sorry, was it 1917? I'm bad at... I know it was World War I. Anyway, I think it'd be really cool if this was that. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it's a possibility with what we learned about Flash. Speaking of Flash, we got Batfleck back. Man, Batfleck is one of my favorites, which is crazy because he only got movies where he was a piece of them. There was never a solo Ben Affleck movie. There was never a chance for him to really get to be Batman, except for in, as a supporting or co-lead. And that's saying a lot, because I think his costume is the best of the on-screen Batmans, and I personally am a big fan of the fighting style and the choreography. I don't love the guns, because it doesn't make sense for the character, but there's a lot I love about Batfleck. So I'm very excited he's coming back to The Flash, and I think the storyline's going to be great, because now we get a new Flash suit, We find out that through the cinematic universe, the Flash TV show tie-in is how we get that entire flavor and how he calls himself the Flash. All of that's very exciting to me. And the panel itself, I love the love that the director has for the character of the Flash. I think that's going to be very essential to this very delayed movie actually getting to go forward. So Batfleck coming back is fantastic. Michael Keaton being a part of it means we get our own little Batverse. If Christian Bale pops up, I'm going to lose my mind. That's my personal favorite Batman. There's a lot going right for this film, especially considering how delayed it is. And this is a great opportunity for DC to kind of tidy up some loose ends. You've got the cinematic universe that seems somewhat shared. You've got a Batman universe over here with Pattinson. You've got a separate Joker. With the Flashpoint, you can really set it up however you want and have whatever you want to be canon, and have the rest be not. So this is a really great continuity shakeup, this entire Flashpoint movie. Plus, you can really play with villains, you can play with time travel, you've just got infinite possibilities with the Flash. So I think that's a really exciting direction for them to go in. Next up, we had The Suicide Squad, which the Suicide Squad footage, I think, was everything we were all waiting for. I think the Suicide Squad footage was an absolute game changer for DC's lunacy. I think it being rated R is going to be amazing. I think the cast looks absolutely incredible. I talked about the Suicide Squad footage for about 15 minutes on my podcast, so I'm not going to get into the Suicide Squad here, because if you want to hear my thoughts, it'll be redundant there. So if you want to hear a breakdown of all the characters, you want to hear what I thought of the footage, you want to hear me hyped about Polka Dot Man, check out CoyCast, which drops tomorrow. That way, people that listen to both don't have doubles. The Snydercut footage. The Snydercut was very interesting because it revealed we're getting 4 hours of footage. We're getting 4 one-hour episodes that then are going to be cut into one movie. Now, if you've ever edited, that sounds like an impossibility. I don't know how you're possibly going to have the tonality work. I don't know how you're going to have the pacing work. All of that seems absolutely insane, but if anyone can do it, it is right now, and it is the team behind the Snyder Cut. I am so excited. It looked great. I'm a little iffy on Darkseid, but overall, more Batfleck all day. Seeing Henry Cavill back in that black suit has me really excited. The tone looked huge, the scope, the oomph. I've said before to a lot of people, if you ever meet Zack Snyder, if you ever talk to Zack Snyder, you get his movies more. So having that panel with Zack Snyder and the cast was really smart because you get his vibe, his energy, his ness, and that ties into his movies so clearly. The mythology, the scope, again, it looks just absolutely insane. I think this is really going to change a lot of people's minds about where the DC universe is, how things are going. I'm very excited to see the dark side and Mother Box elements really get their time to shine. I'm excited for more Cyborg. The lack of origin story for that important of a character was always a bummer, and that's how it was going to be with a 2-hour cut of a movie. We're literally getting twice the time. We saw probably an hour of Snyder, an hour of Whedon, and now we're getting 4 hours of Snyder. So one very coherent thing is going to be really awesome. So that comes out on HBO Max. 4 one-hour chunks and then 1 4-hour chunk coming at you from the Snyder Cut. I was impressed, I gotta say. The alternate takes of the footage we've seen, like different actual cuts, and then the new stuff. It was like 80% new stuff, and that's what you want out of this kind of presentation. So I tip my hat to the Snyder Cut, and we got a Streamlabs from the fantastic Michael McCarsell. Mike McCarsell says, I'm really excited for the role reversal in Wonder Woman 84. Diana was the fish out of water being shown the world by Steve in the first movie, and now she gets to do the same for him. Lots of potential fun callbacks to the first movie. Michael, I completely agree, yes, and even beyond that movie, this is an opportunity for a fish out of water story with a male, and I feel like there's a lot of the woman damsel in distress elements, especially in period piece films. Like you've got, especially in the era of Indiana Jones and earlier, or like the 1917, like the first movies, classic Hollywood, damsel in distress were rare common. It's gonna be cool to have a dude in distress. Is there a word for that? Like what's the male damsel? Dudesel. I'm gonna say the dudesel in distress is a really exciting thing because not only is he a fish out of water, but he's a dudesel in distress. So she's gonna be the one carrying the weight of the story for exposition for us, but also she's the stronger one to physically fight. He's certainly capable. He's Steve Trevor. That's all great. But I agree. We're going to have callbacks to the first movie. We're going to see a role reversal in the typical dynamic of superheroes. And we get to have the familiarity of knowing and loving these characters. We know how good their chemistry is. I think it's an absolute great opportunity. So I totally agree. Fish out of water, Steve Trevor is going to be a blast. Plus all of the opportunities they have. This being another movie instead of the first movie, I think that's going to be spectacular. So yes, yes, completely and totally agree. Thank you, Michael McCarcel, for the Streamlabs. All right, back to the news. We talked Flash, we talked Snydercut, we talked Suicide Squad. Let's talk about BlackAdam, and let's get into the Batman. The Batman's where I'm going to spend the majority of my time, because holy crap, that trailer changed my life. BlackAdam. This movie has been in gestation for 10 years. This movie has been being conceived for a decade. Ryan Reynolds worked on Deadpool for 11. The Rock has worked on BlackAdam for 10. That is insane. We saw what happened after a long run of Deadpool. We got a masterpiece of a film. I hope that's the case with BlackAdam. I think that The Rock is very invested. I think the story looks interesting. I think the scope of the world they're trying to build looks fantastic. I think that the previs is super rudimentary. You can't really know what the movie's gonna look like, but it's really cool to have something with this much time. It's very much a long storyline, and it's kind of the origin of superheroes in the DC universe by retroactively happening so soon. I think the elements of slavery are gonna be really important to the film. I really hope they lean into the anti-hero. I really hope that they lean into... He kept mentioning it, but I think you could have a really cool villain in BlackAdam, and I think the mark of what morality is a fascinating one. Like, what defines justice? What defines right and wrong? I'm watching Death Note now for the first time. I've only watched the first 5 episodes, but I watched the first 5 episodes of Death Note, and I love that they're both like, I am vengeance, this is my city, and it's very Daredevil, Wilson Fisk. It's very, like, we're both right in our own way, and I think you could play a lot with that with BlackAdam. Then, on top of all that, with just the Rock stuff, we saw that Adam Smasher was cast, and then they also gave us footage of Hawkman, of Dr. Fate, of Calypso, not Calypso, sorry, I got her name wrong, Cyclone. There's so many giant characters in this movie, and the JSA is forming out of that. That is so exciting. I think the JSA are gonna get their butt whooped, and then he's gonna have to be a little bit more aggressive, handle some business. It's gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait to see Hawkman. I'm wondering if the rumors of Stellan Skarsgård are true. I'm really curious who they cast as everyone else in this universe, because how big is the JSA going to be? How much is this going to grow? Who's going to play Cyclone? Who's going to play the villain of the film? Who's the villain of the film when you have an anti-hero? There's so many questions, so much excitement, and then the big one being, for me as a Dr. Fate fan, who's going to play a guy that must be so charismatic that he can act through you never see his face. He's like the Mandalorian. Like, how do you make that character interesting? So give me that Doctor Strange from under a helmet and make it sing. Plus, The Rock looked like beastly. DC's fight against shirts continues on. I love both universes, and I love how different they are. I love the underdogs of the Marvel Universe. I love the actual gods of the DC Universe. I love the fact that DC casts these impossible titans of strength, and Marvel's got giants too. It's really interesting how their presentations, like the scope of Fandome, just really registered this gravitas of their movies, because their movies just expand so much. Now we're going into phase 4 with Marvel. You're gonna have Eternals and all those things. But even like the parallels between Suicide Squad and Guardians, it's really gonna be interesting as 2 universes find their stride. Because I think that what we're gonna have is 2 universes. Marvel's had a solid head start, and they're kind of going through the TV route now. But with the MCU expanding to television, how's that going to react to the films once they start coming out? How's this delay going to go? Whereas Fandome, they've had some time to really work on their next phase, and they're going to have some time to really brace for these films, and they're going to be starting at a different point with TV and movies crossing over much earlier, because the Batman. Let's talk about the Batman. The panel beforehand was Matt Reeves just gushing about the Batman, the character, the world he's built, the movie that they're making, everything that he had to say. I've been so obsessed with this script since the last year and a half. Every time there's a quote, I pour over it. I talk about it on all my shows. I was way too excited for this movie. My expectations were at 11. I was way too in, and then somehow I learned that my hype goes up to a 15. This trailer was everything it possibly could have been for me. I knew from the opening color palette this movie was for me. I've wanted a David Fincher Moon Knight movie for my entire life. Since I was old enough to conceive directors as separate things, and since I was old enough to wrap my head around Moon Knight, I thought David Fincher doing Moon Knight would be the dream. Moon Knight is very much a Batman character in the Marvel Universe. Batman is very much my favorite DC character, and it looks like Matt Reeves made a David Fincher love letter to Batman. This is accidentally my dream movie I am so excited. I love Matt Reeves' work. I love his Apes films. I think he's a genius. I think Cloverfield is very slept on as its influence going into what cinema became. I think Matt Reeves is responsible for a lot of glorious pop culture in the present day, producing, directing, influencing, and I think that this movie is going to change comic book films. We have a 7-flavored Batman movie set in year 2 that looks grounded but just outside of our reality, starring an entire rogues gallery of characters and an entire ensemble of A-listers in the cast. This is the exact best case scenario. So we've got a 7-tone kind of movie. We've got an actual detective story. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. He promised a detective movie forever ago, and we got a detective movie. This movie looks like we actually have to solve problems. It's Seven, it's Zodiac, it's a noir, it's all the things that we've wanted out of a Batman movie. So therefore, it doesn't feel like we're stepping on the toes of Zack Snyder's Batfleck. It doesn't feel like we're stepping on the toes of the not that long ago Chris Nolan film. I love the Nolan movies, but the detective work he does where he solves the magic bullet via magic is insane. That's not detective work. Where he like rebuilds a fingerprint, that's insane. He shot a wall. No, that's not detective work. We haven't seen detective work since it was like a pop in the first Batman movie of Tim Burton. There's a moment with perfume and him going through the chemical compounds. That's, I think, the closest we've gotten to what this is going to be, which is full-on detective work. The Riddler is a terrifying character. I love the Riddler in the comic books, and Paul Dano, his voice, his Hush-inspired look, if that even is the Riddler, I could see that being a bait and switch and that not even being the Riddler, but that Hush-inspired character visually that looked like a vague Hush-esque moment, that could be the Riddler, it could not. That's what's fun about this trailer is there are riddles, there are questions. He was wearing green, he definitely had a letter, all of those things. But was that our actual Riddler? Paul Dano's voice was haunting and wonderful and big and bold. If you've ever seen Prisoners or even Little Miss Sunshine, There Will Be Blood, he's an incredible actor. I think he's going to be one of the villains in comic book film. So you've got all these ingredients. Then you've got flashes of Colin Farrell as the Penguin, who looks unrecognizable. I tweeted it a few minutes after the trailer ended, and I got like in arguments. People didn't believe me that it was Colin Farrell. It was in fact Colin Farrell. Since the trailer has dropped, the makeup designer claimed, like he was like, no, that's my work, thank you, and that's Colin Farrell in my work. He looks unrecognizable. He looks insane. It looks so good, and that's also him driving in front of Batman going like, ah, you're crazy. Oh my god, this trailer. So we get an actual mystery in the opening. This was only edited from 25% of filming. They've only made 25% of this movie. A quarter of the movie is done, and we somehow have the best Batman trailer I think we've gotten to date. Maybe the Katie Holmes, what's it called? Nickelback trailer is more your cup of tea. But for me, this is a goddamn Batman trailer. We have brutality in the fights. We've got multiple rogues that feel like they're going to be balanced. We've got an incredible Jeffrey Wright as a not yet Commissioner Gordon. One of the things I really love is that we get both the Gotham PD being on his side enough to reluctantly let him be on the scene and investigating, but also they clearly turn on him at one point, which is very Batman. We've got the legacy that Matt Reeves talks about building to. With a Gotham show that takes place in year 1 and a movie that takes place in year 2, I very much think we're going to be building not only the Long Halloween, not only building to a 3-act structure movie with multiple rogues that influence and fall in and out of Arkham, but I also think Court of Owls. I think Court of Owls is definitely an option, especially at the Court of Owls video game that's happening roughly simultaneously with the Gotham Knights game. I do think we're going to have a lot of the foundation of morality of what Gotham is. One of the things I've always loved about the different takes on Gotham is, like, the Narrows in the Nolan trilogy is super important. You've got the hub that Wayne Tower represents. They were trying to fix Gotham by supplying all of this energy and helping out all those ways. But they never really got into the nuance of what the Waynes were doing beyond that because those movies had so much else going on. This looks like it's diving into Gotham as a character on the TV show, which will then influence Gotham, the character, in the movie. And I think the best way to do that is through the long game of Court of Owls. Court of Owls is a fantastic Snyder run. Scott Snyder, not Zack Snyder. Scott Snyder has this great story called Court of Owls that kind of folds in between year 1 and year 2. I did a really fun interview with him at Comic-Con last year. If you guys check out YouTube, Jandreau, Scott Snyder, we talk all about Court of Owls. We talk about the psychology of it. We talk about inserting your character in between mythology of origin and present. A lot of that conversation I think is going to apply to this movie. So check that out. It's over at Collider. Me and Scott Snyder. but I really think the psychological ramifications of finding out maybe his parents weren't as good as he thought they were, or they were and they were killed for that reason. How deep does this go? The mayor is clearly somewhat dirty because of the way this trailer goes, and we think that's the mayor all wrapped up. Someone already solved the riddle of the what does a liar do when he's dead? The riddle is that question, and then the answer is he lies still, lies still, lies still. I love this. It's already a brilliant take on the character of the Riddler. It's already very dark, nihilistic humor. It's very Batman. This movie gets Batman, and they've only shot 25% of it. Add to that a classic Nirvana song, but like a B-side Nirvana song, not one of the ones that Kurt would be embarrassed to play today. Add to that the cast that looks insane. Add to that Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Good God, am I excited for Catwoman Zoe Kravitz. If you haven't seen Hulu's incredible high fidelity, I like it better than the movie, and the movie is a classic for a reason. I think that she is going to be a powerhouse figure in Hollywood in no time, and I really, really am excited about her take on Catwoman, because she's going to be a star like next week after this movie comes out. She's already Zoe Kravitz, but I can't wait to see her take on the charisma and charm, the duality of both Selena Kyle and Catwoman. I'm a little surprised she's not in the purple cat suit, because I really thought they were going that way, but this is going to be a little less comic-y than that. So I remember I had said that at one point, but I don't think we're getting the purple cat suit. Maybe down the line, once this gets more comic-y, because that's another thing. This is Batman Year 2. The cave, the Bat Cave is very rudimentary. I think it's under the cemetery. I think the scene of him driving through the cemetery, I think he's actually built a Bat Cave next to his parents. I think the gun crest of the bat is also how he is resting next to his parents. I think the Bat Cave's right under the cemetery. I think that's how he gets there. But I also think that there's going to be a lot more tying into the Waynes and all those things. So I think that the bat suit is the beginning of an evolution. So this, over the course of multiple movies, can look more and more like a comic book. It can look more Neil Adams. The Catwoman suit can eventually get to purple and all those things. I could see the end of this, just like the end of Dark Knight, it changed Batsuit. Sorry, the beginning of Dark Knight was the Batman Begins Batsuit, and then they quickly went to the new technical suit. I could easily see this having a different Batsuit at the very end as he evolves into even more of a Batman. So I could see that happening with multiple characters. I could see us having a surprise Joker in this movie. I could see there being more rogues than even we know about. I think we're going to see this be somehow the most grounded and the most comic-y of all the Batman movies to date. I lost my mind in this trailer. Also, Maroni being on one of the pictures that they're taking a photo of in the crime scene. He's the guy that splashes acid on Two-Face's face. Will we get a Harvey Dent elected because of the corruption and crime in this one? Will we get some DA references? Will there be an escalation into the Harvey Dent saga? There's also the potential of Calendar Man and a bunch of characters that we haven't gotten yet in the Batman mythos. I hope they go in all of these directions. I could not be more excited. I think I'm going to check the chat, because I just ranted for 10 minutes of my excitement. I can't stop watching this trailer. I'm losing my mind over how good this looks. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. This trailer is impossibly good. Okay, let's see. We got Jesus. I enjoyed that Batman trailer. Colin Farrell looks amazing as Penguin / Oswald Cobblepot. Can't wait for the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Same for Gotham Knights video games. That fight scene in the Batman, wow. I'm going to be talking about the video games just after this Batman trailer. Yes, I totally agree. Both of those games look like so much fun. I'm not even that big of a gamer, but I tend to be drawn to the comic book video games because that's like a gateway for me. I understand the storyline, so I'm going to be picking those up. I will definitely be picking up those two glorious games, because especially that Suicide Squad game, something about it. And then the Gotham Knights game reminded me of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, where you've got 4 players and different strengths with each one. Like, do you use the staff, or do you use the katanas? And that reminds me of the different Robins and, you know, the Red Hood and Batwoman and all that. It's very exciting. Yes, and is what I'm saying. And I will get to those games very, very soon. Thank you very much for the super chat. Let's see. We also got, still waiting for Taylor Swift to be cast in a small role in one of these upcoming comic book movies. Beer money for the week. Thank you, Jimmy Mac, for beer money for the week. DC Fandome was amazing and can't wait for the Suicide Squad. Stay safe and be well, Coy. Thank you, Jimmy Mac. Jimmy Mac, we are not doing a craft beers and comic books this week. This will go towards the beer of the week next week. I promise you that is where this money is going. This $10 will be beer. That is because we're doing a watch along today of MALLRATS. So today's MALLRATS is going to be taking over comic books and craft beer. But thank you, and I will tell you what this beer bought next time. I very much appreciate it. All right, we've also got Make sure I don't miss anybody. Michael McCarcel. By the end of the trailer, I was practically hyperventilating. Dude, same. I've texted more people about this trailer than most life events. It has the exact tone and vibe that I was hoping for. I was already through the roof of this movie, and now that excitement is into the stratosphere. I was so worried with me living at 11, and I know a lot of you listen to my podcast. You guys know that I've been poring over the details of this film, and that's usually dangerous, because usually you can't live up to the expectations of a movie. Usually it can't be as good as you're theorizing. It can't be as good as the movie you're making in your head because of just practicality. This trailer is better than I expected. So we're living in an age of like, how is this existing? I am so excited. Holy crap. Jason Ritchie. I've never been so excited from a trailer as the Batman trailer got me. Jason Ritchie, you got taste, you got wisdom. That is how you should feel. This trailer is everything. I am losing my goddamn mind. And it's 2.5 minutes of footage after they've only filmed 25% of the movie. We see a funeral. We see, which we assume is the mayor's funeral. And we also see Bruce Wayne as a vigilante. I also love that he actually has, like, you'd smear black to hide your identity under the cowl, and I love that they kept that integrity, and either they're getting some crap from that, but I think that's absolutely how that character would be. And he's not playing emo, he's playing Batman. He's a guy who has been punching people because his parents were killed and lives in a cave. That's about as emo as it gets, if you want to, like, you know, let's call it like it is. It's a very hot topic opportunity, but I think that the choices are all spectacular, and I want to end my discussion of this trailer on one of the most insane moments I think we've had in a comic book movie trailer, especially one that's so early in production. The brutality of the fight and the technical, tactical costume. He can move in this costume. Batman Begins suit, Christian Bale couldn't turn his head. The Dark Knight suit, I had a lot of problems with because it looked like there were just so many gaps that he could get hurt in. I love the Dark Knight Frank Miller suit we got for Ben Affleck, but you don't have a lot of opportunity for storyline there because he's a co-star. He's a part of the movie. We didn't get a lot of Batman. This is all of the above. We get a full-on Batman story. We get a suit that looks very, very practical. The hand stitching on the cowl, the actual, like, turtleneck cowl makes so much sense for practicality. The cape looking like it's actually made of cloth that you could have a versatility of stiffness to, as well as some weight to it. The armor looks real and not like he's about to go X Games riding. All of that, and that looked great from the moment we saw him walk out from the shadows with the cops, but then the actual beatdown, the pulverizing beatdown of that skull-faced clown, which we don't know anything about yet, but there are skulls and owl imagery in this first trailer. Lots of owls, lots of skulls. Court of Owls, I definitely think is the thing. Is this setting up for the gang of Jokers like Batman Beyond? Is this referencing another Joker? Is this a setup for the Joker? Who knows? I personally don't think it's Joker-based. I think those stitches and smile lines are another iconography, but I could be wrong. That said, the beatdown itself is so brutal and intense and very much what I picture when I see Batman. He's a psychopath. He has a very skewed sense of justice. And then instead of the line we all expect, every movie has an "I'm Batman." Instead of "I'm Batman," he does the "I'm Vengeance," the Conroy line, one of the most iconic "I'm the Vengeance, I'm the Night, I'm Batman." You give me that moment after that kind of beatdown to conclude a trailer, or to be a beat in the trailer, holy shit, you guys. "I'm Vengeance." His voice sounds great. It doesn't sound too deep, too modulated. It doesn't sound fake. It doesn't sound... That's one of the flaws of the Bale movies. They even got the voice right, you guys. This trailer could not have been better. I've watched it way too many times. But man, oh man, that beatdown moment is a hell of a thing. Guys, the Batman. The goddamn Batman. Whew. Okay, I gotta check the super chat again. I'm a little sweaty, I got a little excited, I was a little into it. The Batman. All right, we got from, let's see. Okay, good. I thought I saw one pop up that I had missed. I think I am good. Okay, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed the experience of the Batman trailer, and I really hope that you got what I got out of it. I think I just said that, but I can't over hype a trailer that reinvigorated my fire for this kind of movie, because I talk about comics for a living, and this trailer is a totally different thing. We haven't had this before. Every comic movie tries to reinvent the wheel. Every comic movie tries to find a new genre. This one actually landed the noir detective genre, and holy shit. All right, thank you to Jason Ritchie in the super chat. Jason Ritchie, also I wasn't able to watch most of last week live, so since you're going to be trying to make a white girl with a coffee beer, here's money for pumpkin beer as well. Dude, thank you so much, Jason Ritchie. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to make a white girl, which is coffee beer. And, oh, hold on, I've got it here. I wrote it down. It's actually in this note. Oh, it's down here. But yes, I wrote down your ingredients for a white girl, which I'm very excited to try because I'm a coffee beer fiend and it feels very fallish and I'm very excited. So thank you very much for the super chat, Jason Ritchie. Okay, guys, we talked Batman, we talked Fandome, we talked all the things. If you have any more questions or anything like that, please do let me know. I'll be jumping in here as much as possible. But there was some other news this week. It seems small compared to the glorious Batman trailer. It seems like that is... I mean, I want to watch that movie as it is now. I want to watch 25% of it. I want to just, like, sit me down and let me experience the hour of just raw footage in some sort of assembly cut. Let me have the 40 hours of whatever dailies you've got in film. Please just give me more, because that doesn't come out until October of 2021. That is Halloween of next year. So I'm thinking... For that reason, they might tease Calendar Man. I'm thinking for that reason, the tone, I'm hoping, stays this really, really brutal R-rated cut. I think the success of Joker and the taking the chance with the Suicide Squad mean we might get an R-rated cut. We're going to see, I don't know if they've confirmed one way or the other, but the movie looks goddamn brutal. But Halloween 2021, could not be more excited. Give me that movie in my veins yesterday. Okay. Let's talk about those games. There were 2 games getting footage released at Fandome, and one of them was the Suicide Squad, and that game looks fun as hell. The tone was great. I love seeing Boomerang taken somewhat seriously, but still as a comic relief. Deadshot's gonna be awesome to play, as you can already tell. Harley Quinn looks like an absolute madwoman and like a blast. Like her agility in that trailer, I'm already very excited by that. And then King Shark as your brawler. I love when games have that dynamic where you can already tell from previs footage, animatics, like story animatics, what their fighting styles are going to be like. So the game's graphics look great to me as a non-gamer, and the Suicide Squad game looks like so much fun. I'm so in, and the fact that you're fighting the Justice League. I think Bizarro is that Superman. I don't know if that's obvious or whatnot, but I'm like, that's got to be Bizarro, right? So I'm very excited for that. I think the game's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very, very in for this idea of fighting against, you know, your heroes, like characters that you know and love. Switching that is why the Suicide Squad's such a fun character, why that comic book sings, why they can make so many movies out of it. I think it's fantastic. So, very excited for that. The other game was Gotham Knights, which gives us Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, as well as Batwoman. And they all have different fighting styles as well. Batwoman, I think, is going to be like your Legolas in the old Lord of the Rings games. She's going to be able to do things fast and a little bit more distance, and like, you know, she's going to be more of the tactical. I think Robin's going to be your speed character. I think he's going to be nimble, and that staff is going to be awesome. I think, Red Hood is going to be your brutal melee brawler. He shoots people. I'm sure they just go to sleep. It's going to be fine. And then Nightwing is going to be your ninja, man. Nightwing's going to be like this mix of a little less strength, but a little bit more speed, all those things. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character. Thank you, chat. Batgirl, I apologize. Batgirl, I know they're different characters, but my brain puts all of the Robins as one, and then Nightwing is still Robin to me. I even called this the Robins game. Thank you, Batgirl. But I really think it's going to be a cool dynamic to have a Gotham game that doesn't have Batman in it, and I think it's going to add a lot of versatility to gameplay, because it's going to be way more fun than playing as 2 characters. It's going to be way more fun than playing, you know, your Batman on foot, and then Batman drives car, and then all those things. Like 4 different characters. This reminds me of some 90s gaming. Again, I'm not in the gaming world. I'm sure this is much more common, but it reminds me of some Turtles games that I know and love. The graphics look great. Nightwing getting some love always makes me happy. I really hope there's some like Bloodhaven, and I'm really curious about who we're fighting and what the overall scope of the game becomes. So both those games, very, very exciting. DC Fandome overall, just all wins. Everything from even the Shazam panel, which just gave us a new name. Shazam 2 is officially called Fury of the Gods, which I think is going to tie into BlackAdam really interestingly. I think it's going to be a really cool evolution of those characters. They got to film soon because those kids are growing up quick, but overall Fandome was all hits. It's really bittersweet on the heels of all the DC editorial loss and all those things, but I think the event reminded us like how great Comic-Con can feel, how good it feels to all celebrate together, how we're a worldwide comic community, and how This is great shit. For a day, we got to forget about the world. For a full day, DC gave us the gift of escapism. So thank you for that escapism. Michael McCarcel, yes, the Gotham Knights villain is Court of Owls, which I briefly mentioned earlier. I meant the escalation. I think there's going to be villains we know and recognize on the journey to Court of Owls, and I think those surprises are going to be exciting. But yes, Court of Owls is another reason I think the Batman has the Court of Owls in it, is the timing is very... Court of Owls are so hot right now. I definitely think there's going to be more going on there. So yeah, that's going to wrap up my fandom coverage. Now that we're 40 minutes into the show, I clearly had a great time with fandom. I lost my mind consistently. I watched so many panels. Sandman with Neil Gaiman, that was very insightful. Them modernizing Sandman and that allowing him to modernize his own script, setting it in the present day. That being a Netflix show, that's exciting as hell. Everything we got out of fandom. I am so ready for this next wave of DC. I'm so ready for comics and the medium of film and TV and video games to just explode all over again. And personally, I'm really excited because everyone thinks I'm a Marvel guy and I'm a comic guy, and this gives us a really cool opportunity to... If Marvel releases 100 comics a month and DC releases 30 comics a month, you're only going to be able to talk about that 30% as much. If Marvel releases 5 movies a year and DC releases 1 movie a year, you're only going to be able to talk about it 20% as much. Now is the time we can talk about all this stuff to the same level because there's as much coming out or more. This is fantastic. And now we've also got more indie stuff. Most of the TV shows based on comics are independent stuff. Most of the animated stuff coming out, like Invincible, that's a super indie comic. All of these things are fantastic, and I think we're in for a really, really cool renaissance of comic book film and TV. We're just getting started. This is exciting as hell. So thank you, DC Fandom, for reminding us all about the glory that can be comic books in all mediums. Thank you. That was the perfect presentation. Okay, a couple things of non-comic news, and then back to more comic book news. Guys, it is over 100 degrees in my apartment. I'm so sorry for any sweat or perspiration or Claire me dying. The AC makes it very loud, and then you can't hear me, so apologies if I look bedraggled. It's hot as hell. In the world of non-comic book movies, John August and Ryan Reynolds have teamed up again. I am a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds. Surprise, surprise. And also a big fan of John August. They did a movie called The Nines together, which I love. It is this psychological drama that is so dense and weird. I actually talked about it in Coyllection last week, so if you want to hear me break down The Nines, that is on my Coyllection video. I'm a big fan. I own it on DVD. It is dense, it is weird, it is dramatic, it is funny, it is Ryan Reynolds when he's not playing Deadpool, and that's also fun to see. They're teaming up again for a Netflix movie. Now, there's nothing else known about this, but John August and Ryan Reynolds, I will always report on it. It's called Upstate. I'm very, very in. That was just announced today. Also, we talked about Batfleck returning. I talked about that in Coyllection as well, but Batfleck coming back is something I never thought we'd see. We literally had a video on Kimmel where he said, "I'm not Batman." And I thought that was an honorable way to hang up his jersey, so to speak. They literally hung it from the rafters. All of that was ceremonious and fantastic. I never thought we'd get him back. So my favorite thing about fandom was actually just seeing Batman happy. I was so excited to see Ben Affleck smile. I tweeted about it. Like, seeing Ben Affleck with that glow about him and seeing him like tongue-in-cheek be excited about Batman again, that warmed my heart, both as a lover of film and as a Bostonian. There's that running meme of Affleck just sad and dejected and broken. It's good to see someone turn positive and happier, and we made a movie about his alcoholism. It's just really good to see someone like turn the corner and be good and happy and content, and I'm so happy for Ben Affleck. It's a weird thing to say, but I'm really happy for Ben Affleck. That was my favorite part of fandom. Batman in general, be it Flash Batman, Ben Affleck Batman, the Batman. Thank you for all that bat love. Okay, so over in the world of comic books, back to it. Besides Batfleck, guys, we're getting a Static Shock movie. Static Shock is a 2000s comic, 2000s animated show and comic from Milestone that is so slept on. It's got one of those cult followings that are really loud, but there's not enough people that know Static Shock. Static Shock is one of the most fun young characters in comic books. The cartoon was exceptional. It's up there with X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man 94. It's up there. It's one of those shows, and I feel like it doesn't get brought up in enough conversations about that caliber of comic book show. Static Shock is dope, and we're getting a movie. Now, I don't know who's going to play Static. I don't know who should. My fan casting for Static like 5 years ago was Jaden Smith, because after Karate Kid, I was like, yo, Static Shock. I think that we need someone that's charismatic and funny and able to do the amount of physicality of like, he hovers around in this awesome little the metal disc because he's got like Magneto meets Electro powers. There's so much cool shit about Static Shock, and he's getting a movie. So know that Static Shock is coming at you. No details. Nothing else is really known. Just that Static Shock is probably happening, and that is enough to be excited about. So, Static Shock, listen in your head, in your mind's eye, if you're a fan of the show, listen to the soundtrack right now. That's right, Static Shock, we're getting a movie. I'm excited. As more develops, I will absolutely keep you guys posted. We're also getting a Kraven the Hunter movie from J.C. CHANDOR. Now, the only thing of J.C. CHANDOR's I know is Triple Frontier, which I was kind of neutral on. The cast was incredible. Ben Affleck. But it was fine. It was like one of those action movies where you're like, this is something I enjoyed the one time. Like, I probably won't watch it again. But very capable director. So I'm glad it's going to someone very capable. They're assembling an impossibly talented roster of creators over at Sony Marvel. And the movies themselves, we're getting this monster of the week situation with Morbius and Venom, and I think they're going to go dark with Kraven because of that. Kraven, obviously one of his most iconic runs is Kraven the Last Hunt. I would love if they go dark with Kraven. Now, I wrote an entire thesis on this concept for Collider, why Kraven should be the villain in Spider-Man 3. Look up why Kraven should be the villain in Spider-Man 3. I've been saying this since Spider-Man 1. I think, especially now that he's revealed his identity, hunting Spider-Man, the most dangerous game, there's all these opportunities, but what I think would be cool is tying it into Wakanda. Wakanda's heart-shaped herb gives Black Panther his powers. Especially in the MCU, they've raised the stakes of what the heart-shaped herb can do. I think the herb that causes Kraven to be as powerful he is, tying that into Wakanda would be fascinating. The reason the deal got extended with Sony and Marvel is playing with that character set, the MCU set. What if Kraven ties into Black Panther? So we already have some continuity, so we already have some headcanon. I want Joe Manganiello to play Kraven because I love that Michael Keaton was Vulture and Batman. I love that Donald Glover is why so many people were aware. Like, the Donald for Spider-Man campaign allowed for Miles Morales to be as... Bendis publicly said Donald Glover is part of the reason for Miles Morales. Then they cast him as the character who was basically his own uncle. That's what I'm trying to say. Donald Glover plays the character that's effectively his own uncle in Spider-Man Homecoming, so that's a fantastic bit of stunt casting. And now I think they should do the same with Joe Manganiello, who played the Flash Thompson of Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and he looks like Kraven. He's huge, the hair, the nest, and he's a geek. Like, it fits all the things. Joe Manganiello for Kraven. That's what I think. If we didn't have the already incredible Heimdall performance from Idris Elba, he is also one of my go-tos. I also think Edgar Ramirez, who's also my Wolverine. I'd love to see Edgar Ramirez as either Wolverine or Kraven the Hunter, but I wrote a whole article about it. It's over at Collider. We are getting a Kraven the Hunter movie from Sony Marvel, as directed by J.C. CHANDOR. Very excited. So, Morbius, confirmed, already filmed. Venom 2, already filmed, done. Kraven, happening. Olivia Wilde, theoretically a Spider-Woman movie. All we know is it's Marvel Sony, and she shared a spider symbol. Could be Madam Web. There's already a director attached, though, so I doubt it. Could be another Spider-Woman, maybe Spider-Girl, maybe May Parker. Doubt it. I'm thinking Jessica Drew. I'm hoping it's her as a mom. I think that she could do a Mary Jane movie. I think she could do the Silver and Black movie, but I know that has other people attached to it, so I doubt it would go there. I'm really hoping it's Jessica Drew. Again, I talked all about that last week, but that's a lot of Sony Spider-Man content, and I'm one of those people that thinks you shouldn't have everything just in the MCU. I think the versatility is how we're going to keep all these comic movies happening. Venom couldn't exist in the MCU. That movie's so weird. Love it or hate it, it's a really different, weird take. Deadpool's having trouble getting made at the MCU. There's movies that the MCU can't house. I think Kraven could be really cool if it's a different take. So I'm excited this is going to be at Sony. I'm excited for versatility of content. I'm excited the MCU is going to be loosely involved. This is all fantastic news. Okay. Let me quickly check on the Streamlabs, Super Chat, etc. before we talk about the Sugar Spice and Everything Nice Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls are getting a movie, and I am so elated. The Powerpuff Girls is a show I love very much. I want Mojo Jojo by way of Umbrella Academy. I want some insanity with the opening intro done live action. I can't even picture what this looks like live action. I just know I'm in and I'm excited. This is a glorious time to be into fandom. The Powerpuff Girls was one of the shows on the Toonami era of Cartoon Network for me. I'm very excited. So that means Static Shock and Powerpuff Girls. What a good time to be a millennial. We might have helped destroy the world, but we are getting our content. I'm in. I'm really stoked. As long as they don't try to make them weirdly like young teen sexual, because that's always creepy, then I think this could be a really cool way to introduce a new generation of the Powerpuff Girls. I know the Dora the Explorer movie did better than people expected. I hear it was better than people thought it was going to be. Give us Bubbles, Buttercup, and Blossom. Give us our Powerpuff Girls. I'm the most invested in Mojo Jojo. And then give us The Rock as Johnny Bravo. That's what I want. The Rock as Johnny Bravo. Please. Okay, we also got a brand new Tenet trailer this week. I feel like I've been talking about Tenet since CoyCubed started, because I probably have. I'm not going to dive into the trailer too much, except for that it looks like the most insane James Bond movie we've never gotten yet, which, as we know, Chris Nolan is a huge Bond fan. I won't be able to see Tenet, so you probably won't get a review from me for a while, because they've announced that the drive-ins will also not be able to play Tenet. So if your local town doesn't have Tenet in theaters, because the theaters can't open, the drive-ins can't get the movie either. And they said that's because they don't want anything spoiled, but I think they don't realize the internet is the whole world. So that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a really weird time. Everything is trying to get, ahead of this thing and that thing. I think it's really messy with movie theaters. I think it's going to be a problem all around, but we're going to see. And I hope it goes well. I really want to see Tenet. I'm really excited for Tenet. Time will tell, but the last trailer is bitchin'. I didn't really like the Kanye song in it, but I'm in for the rest. And that's just the tone of the Kanye song didn't seem to fit the movie. I felt like they were editing to work with the Kanye song instead of... Anyway, the trailer's dope. Song didn't quite work for me, but I had a lot of fun with the trailer. It looks just as weird. It gave away just as little. It's the most time warpy of the trailers. I'm very, very excited for Tenet whenever I get to see it safely. Okay, we also found out this week we're getting a West Wing reunion. I'm not going to talk about this for long because it'll lose a lot of viewers because a lot of people aren't West Wing fans, but The West Wing is one of my favorite shows. I just started this year. It's already one of my favorite shows. I'm on season 5, and it's one of my favorite shows. There's a reunion, so I have to finish. I got a season and a half left. No, I think I have 2 seasons left. Anyway, yeah, because there's 7 seasons, because there's one more than Community. I'm watching Community and West Wing. That's my dance. So West Wing's getting a reunion in October, so I have until October to finish The West Wing. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to remind people to vote. I think it's a really smart move to remind people to vote via a very iconic show about politics. All of this really works. A lot of the cast is coming back. I'm very much in. So The West Wing, for those of you that love it as much as I do, is coming back. Sorkin's coming back. A lot of the cast is coming back. Hell yeah. Give me that reunion. HBO Max, thank you. Okay, also we got the launch trailer for Marvel's Avengers, a game that 2 of my best friends in the world, Aaron King and Mike Moda, I've known these guys for like 16 years. They surprised me with Marvel's Avengers for my birthday, so I'm getting that shipped out. They got me a physical copy. My birthday is September 15th, and it comes out on September 4th, so they're like, don't buy it, we're getting it for your birthday. So thank you to Mike Moda and Aaron King. It is very, very, very sweet. So I'm getting this game, and the launch trailer has me really excited. I'll be playing on Twitch, I think. I've never done Twitch, but I hear that's the thing to do. So I'm going to be playing with them co-op. They're in Boston, where I'm from, so we're going to be able to play games together again, which I'm really excited about. I think playing as Kamala Khan is going to be dope. Like, her powers look so rad. I think Kamala is how you say it. Kamala Harris, and Kamala Khan is how you say. I'll learn one day. I think it's Kamala Khan, Kamala Harris. Kamala Khan, yeah. So I'm really excited to play as Kamala Khan, and I'm very much in for this game, which drops on September 4th. If you haven't seen the final trailer, check it out. It's only a minute long. Very excited. We also found out this week that we're getting a giant Storm event kicking off on September 16th with giant size X-Men Storm. Storm is one of those characters that needs way more love. Storm is a brilliant character that doesn't get a lot of time to shine in the movies. She has led the X-Men and doesn't get enough time in the X-Men comics. I'm very in for this Storm movement. I wrote down, a storm's brewing. Give me this Storm wave. I'm very in. So one of my favorite characters getting a focal point of the Marvel Universe going forward. Hell yeah. All right, and then New Mutants. New Mutants is coming out on Friday, y'all. I, again, won't be able to see it, but I'm very excited for it. New Mutants is 3 years in release. It is a long-running joke of it never coming out. It comes out Friday. There are showtimes at movie theaters. If theaters are open near you, it'll have it. Be safe. Be careful, wear a mask. I don't want to lose any of you guys. So much love to all of you. But yeah, New Mutants is out Friday, and I can't see it, so don't tell me how it is, and don't spoil anything, because here we are. All right, let's do a bunch of streaming recs and comic recs in just a moment. Also, need to plug today, 6 p.m. PST, we're doing a Mallrats watch-along. If you guys want to talk about the Kevin Smith match on Friday against Chris Jericho, what I'm doing to train with Kevin, what the schemes are, I can talk about it a little. I'm not going to give any of my tactics away in case Jericho's lurking, but very, very excited. And also this week, today, we had Tim Franco versus Tom. That dropped today. This week, we've also got Kalinowski versus Perri Nemiroff, my fantastic Perri Nemiroff people are sleeping on. And also this week, Shazam versus Who's the Boss drops for non-patrons and non-pay-per-view. If you're a $5 patron, I think it's tomorrow. If you're any patron, I think it's Thursday, and then Friday it'll be out on YouTube open source. There's 4 Quirky Mercs matches this week alone, including Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho, which is completely free. YouTube, 5 o'clock p.m. PST, completely free. Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho. Very excited. Also, this week, I'm doing a review of My Hero Academia Season 2 Part 2 for the always awesome John Getz. That'll drop on probably Thursday or Friday. I just did one for Candy. Candy is one of my favorite films of all time. Heath Ledger, Abby Cornish, Jeffrey Rush, brilliant film. It's like The Notebook meets Requiem for a Dream. It's a poem about love and addiction. It's really, really good. Nobody saw it. I love it very much. It's the last video on this page, so please watch that. Please watch the movie Candy. It's genius. Did that for AJ Lancaster, who is always awesome as well. And then those are the things I'm doing for patrons. And there's also the Coyllection video I did last week where I talk about Olivia Wilde Spider-Woman, talk briefly about Batfleck, and I go through all my movies from K to Z. So that is all the stuff I've done this week, because free time. What's free time? So very, very excited to have my YouTube page be almost every single day. This week we'll be doing MALLRATS instead of Coyllection, and then next week we'll probably be back with some comic books and craft beer, and I've got some comic books and craft beer donations from you guys, including a White Girl, which I'm very excited to try, and a donation from Jesus Gastelum, who I appreciate very, very much. Okay, recommendations. Comic books. The comic books I think you should check out from last week are Batman 97, Cable number 3, Captain Marvel number 20, Decorum number 4, Empire X-Men number 4, Maestro number 1, Thor number 6, Wolverine number 4, and Wonder Woman Dead Earth number 4. All of those are on my Instagram if you want to see what the covers look like. I recommend all of those books. Briefly, Batman 97 continues the war on Batman. Basically, the Joker has billions now. He's taken all Bruce Wayne's money, and it's basically the Joker with the superpower of Batman, which is insane wealth and insanity instead of dedication. So check that out. It's a crazy run. Cable number 3 is Young Cable, which I'm not really big on, but it's Jerry Duggan writing Deadpool again, which always makes me happy. It's a Deadpool issue with Cable, which is always a good time. Highly recommend it. Captain Marvel number 20 is a fish out of water story with a new character in Captain Marvel's pantheon. It is a fun time. It's a good fish out of water story, and it's the most I've liked Captain Marvel in a long time. Decorum is a weird indie from Image about a bunch of assassins with this creed, this code, and it's a really fun time, and it's also an existential crisis of a book. It's very broad and abstract and weird, and I can't get enough of it. Empire X-Men is the first Empire book I've recommended. I have not been enjoying the Empire run that much, but X-Men Empire at least had some quirkiness in this issue. It's at least a fun run. I do recommend that issue. Maestro number 1 is Peter David writing Hulk again, and Maestro has never had an origin. So Maestro was the crazy future Hulk that just kind of came out of nowhere. This is his origin from Bruce Banner into Maestro, so it's a cool little side mission. Thor is Donny Cates. Donny Cates and Nick Klein are writing one of the best Thors I've ever read, and this issue is no exception. Wolverine, Andy Kubert writing Wolverine, illustrating Wolverine is always a good time. This book is gorgeous, and I love the story as well. Wonder Woman Dead Earth is the most metal Wonder Woman. She accidentally destroys the planet and loses faith in humanity, and this is her regaining that faith in humanity and fighting, wielding Superman's skull and spine as a indestructible weapon of Jesus. This book is metal, so it's pretty crazy. Highly recommend. If you guys head to the comic store, those are the books from last week I recommend. The pull list from this week, one moment. We got a super chat from Jesus. Can't wait for the Avengers video game. Just hopped on Venom on issue 27 and got it on my pull list just last week. More Donny Cates run goodness. Enjoying the Joker War and getting ready to start 3 Jokers tomorrow. Hell yeah, Jesus. I'm reading 3 Jokers today once I turn that AC back on. The moment I turn that AC back on, 3 Jokers is happening. If you're digging Donny Cates Venom, do check out Donny Cates Thor. It's the only comic I read out loud like a crazy person because the language is so pretty. It's fun to articulate with. And I can't wait for the Avengers game either. Hell yeah. I might tell people my PlayStation code if I figure out how to do that. So I'm going to figure out Twitch and gaming and stuff late September, but I do want to be interactive with that once the time comes. So I'll hunt you down, Jesus, and everybody else that's playing the Avengers game. Very excited about it. All right, and thank you, as ever, for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. This week, I recommend comic books coming out tomorrow, August 26th, 2020. Amazing Spider-Man 47, Batman 3 Jokers #1, reading it today, very excited. Chew #2, Daredevil Annual #1, Zdarsky's Daredevil is gold. Mike Hawthorne is joining Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil, and that's one of my favorite artists teaming up with one of my favorite writers to make Daredevil. It's going to be a beautiful baby. Starting with issue 24. Very excited, boy. Dead Body Road Bad Blood 3 is just this crazy 80s road trip comic, but it's bloody. It's like Roadhouse with gore. Empire Avengers 3, Empire Captain America 3, those are my two like bottom of the barrel this week. Family Tree #8, Fantastic Four Antithesis #1, Ghost Spider #10, Harley Quinn Black and White and Red #10, Hellions #3, The Question Deaths of Vic Sage #4 is an awesome Black Label title, Spider-Man Noir #3, X Factor #2, only 2 issues into a new X Factor 1, highly recommend this X Factor run, and then X-Men #11, the incredible Hoxpox, Jonathan Hickman continuing his X-Men run. Recommend those very, very highly. I'm also reading Ultimate, the entire universe, chronologically, 10 issues a week. So I just finished Ultimate Fantastic Four, 1 through 12. I cheated, I read the whole first 2 volumes. But Ultimate Fantastic Four takes place like right in between Ultimate Spider-Man 8 and then Ultimate X-Men starting up. So the universe is starting to come together, and it's really cool to read it chronologically. So just started up with the Ultimate Fantastic Four in my read-along journey. I'm also reading the weird, dense, and clinical psychology of Jordan Peterson, because I've been talking to you guys. I'm trying to understand politics more, the far right, the far left, everything in the middle, and Jordan Peterson has become this like folk hero of a very interesting group. So I'm trying to understand the way his brain works. And this book's great. It's a little misogynistic, but the actual psychology of the book is really, really interesting. So I'm reading Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life, as well as all my weekly comics, as well as my Reader to the Ultimate Universe, as well as doing as many shows as I can and not sweating to death. So I'm next reading, I think I'm going to read Midnight Sun next. My mom sent me Twilight to Midnight Sun because we read all the other ones back when I was in high school, and it got her into reading and now writing. My mom writes now because of Twilight, so I have a lot of respect for the Twilight books, even though they get a lot of crap. So I'll be reading Twilight so I can talk to my mom about it, which is cool. I'm excited to read Midnight Sun for Mama and for me, because I'm curious. I read all the other ones. Time for Midnight Sun. So that's probably my next book in addition to comics. Currently watching The West Wing on season 4.5. Season 5 halfway. I've got the rest of 5, 6, and 7 to go. I've got 1 episode of Zac Efron's Down to Earth left, which I very much recommend if you care at all about the planet or about Zac Efron. Probably the planet. It's really cool. It's like Anthony Bourdain, but with bros. And as a bro, I appreciate Zac Efron using his platform to help the planet and to bring awareness to really important causes. So highly recommend the show. It's really informative and it's really accessible. So Zac Efron's Down to Earth, highly recommend. I'm also watching Community. I finally started season 4. A few episodes into season 4, I just watched the one where they go to the Doctor Who kind of that like commentary on Doctor Who, and that was fun. Streaming recommendations for the first week of September, which is in a few days, which is absolutely insane. It is almost September. What the hell? It's 3 weeks from today, so my birthday. I'm turning a year older in 3 weeks from today. I'm taking that week off from the show, by the way, so I will not be. I'll tell you guys closer to it. Doesn't matter. I recommend for the first week of September on Netflix, Back to the Future 1 through 3, Coneheads, Glory, Muppets, The Muppets, Not Another Teen Movie, Pineapple Express, Red Dragon, and Sex Drive. Those are all the movies that jumped out to me coming the first week of September. On Hulu, first week of September, Any Given Sunday, The Birdcage, so good, Notorious about Biggie, Top Gun, one of my favorite movies of all time, all the Twilights. If you want to read Midnight Sun, catch up on your Twilights, boom, Hulu, and Wanted, and OG Angelina Jolie, and his name is escaping me. Charles Xavier, James McAvoy, and Chris Pratt movie. It's a good time. Over on Amazon, Chinatown I've never seen. Somebody watching Chinatown for the first time on Amazon. Starts the first week of September. Dragonheart. I love Dragonheart so much. That goddamn movie. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Jerry Maguire. Miami Vice, the new one with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx by Michael Mann. Primal Fear. Powerful performance by Ed Norton. There Will Be Blood. Goddamn titan of a movie. And The Boys Season 2 premieres on September 4th. I'll remind you of that again next week, but get excited. The Boys Season 2 is going to be insane, and it's coming at you on Amazon. Disney Plus, nothing new this week for me, but HBO Max is forming one of the strongest libraries. It feels like a blockbuster. The HBO Max library is insane. This week on HBO Max, the first week of September, Blood Diamond, Black Dynamite, Clerks, Cop Out, Curious Case with Benjamin Button, The Lake House, Little, A Man Apart, The Outsiders, Point Break, The Sitter, and V for Vendetta are the movies I recommend over there. They've also got like 30 other movies coming out this week. HBO Max is killing it with backorder content. I'm very excited about what that network's becoming. And then finally, AFI is releasing a bunch of movies for free that usually are like pay-per-views or you have to buy to raise awareness of Black stories and to augment Black voices. And I think all of these are really important movies. August 24th to August 30th, you can go through AFI to watch Black Klansman, Get Out, Girls Trip, Loving, and Straight Outta Compton for free. Straight Outta Compton is one of my favorite music biopics, one of my favorite movies. It's in my like top 50. I've seen like 4,000 movies, so top 50 is high praise. I love the Straight Outta Compton adaptation, and that's free for this week. So August 24th through August 30th, Straight Outta Compton, Loving, Girls Trip, Get Out, Black Klansman. Check out AFI.com, the American Film Institute. There's also behind the scenes stuff. They're also doing conversations with the creators behind those films. It's a really cool, accessible way to watch movies you might have missed in theaters and learn about cultures you might not know. And on that note, before we wrap, this insanity that happened this week, I've been like, you know, not talking about politics as much, but the shooting that we saw happen this week was atrocious, and I'm consistently scared, and I really hope things get better soon. And I just hope we find a way to not be political about like life anymore. Like it's not political to want people to live equally. It's not political to expect normalcy. So this shooting that happened, I think it was Kansas. I'm not sure where it happened. I'm sorry, Wisconsin. This shooting in Wisconsin, Jacob Blake, we just found out is paralyzed from the waist down. It's amazing he survived. If you've seen the footage, it's insane. So just, I don't have an answer, but ignoring it isn't the answer. So I just wanted to, you guys, if you haven't seen the footage, it's horrific. If you have any wherewithal to not vote, please do vote. It's going to be really important in November. So I'm not going to get into it too deeply because it's super upsetting. It's really fucked up. But a guy got shot 7 times in front of his kids. And, you know, it's been a year of protesting and seeing things for what they are. And I really hope things get better soon. But in the meantime, thank you for being here. Thank you, as ever, for the Koi Pond, for being so supportive. You guys keep me sane as the world is insane. Thank you to everyone that had a super chat or Streamlabs. Thank you to everyone that has been enjoying all of the extra content I've been putting out, and thank you to everyone that's watching Comic Book and Craft Beer. I'm so proud of that show, and I'm so excited to do it. All right, that's going to do it. I'm going to turn on my AC. Thank you all so much. I think 3 o'clock is going to be the time we do the show instead of 2. 3 o'clock seems to work better for everybody. So 3 o'clock on Tuesdays. Henceforth, I hope everyone has a great day. I'm going to sit in front of the AC and remember my name because I am melting like you wouldn't even believe. Guys, read some comic books, watch some movies, hug your family if they're in your house. If not, call them and hug them emotionally. Tell your friends you love them. It's scary out there. Much love to you. Thank you for being here, and thank you, as always, to comic books for existing. Much love, guys. I'll see you at 6 for MALLRATS. 6 p.m. right here. Same bat time. No, different bat time, same bat channel. All right, I'll see you at 6. MALLRATS.